Welcome to VASA Sports. I'm Uri Jose.
I'm Lance Falatungo.
And here we look at sports through a South Pacific lens. I'm all about sweating the technique.
I'm more about the data. Today's show, as always, sponsored by VASAislandapparel.com for gear that represents the South Pacific Island languages and cultures accurately and responsibly. Put on for the culture. Catch the wave at VASAislandapparel.com.
And our guest today is a lockdown guard for 2015 American Samoa South Pacific Games women's basketball team. She's been featured on Shout Out LA, Slam Online, and Ballers Magazine, to name a few. The founder of Her Game, an organization that empowers women and promotes social activism through hoops. Desiree Ale, welcome to the show.
Thank you guys for having me.
Nice.
I'm so excited.
So excited to have Desiree in to talk about all the things that she's been working on and get her take on some other things that we've got going. We've also got our brother Forrest Doldelau in the building. Forrest, how you doing, bro?
Hey man, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me, man. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, coach?
There's a connection. There's a connection. Forrest, you were coach.
I did. I coached her in the 2015 Pacific Games. I had the very, very, very fortunate to coach her and both of her sisters. And I mean, in such a short time, they became family, and we've stayed in contact since. Like, it's not even funny. I mean, yeah. So dear to my heart. I mean, you know what I mean? Dear to my heart.
And
Des, amen. We love to see it.
Des, how would you rate Forrest's coaching in the South Pacific Games?
Ooh.
I mean, keep it a buck. We only listen to him.
Did he ever pull you from the game because your starting point guard wanted you out? Did that ever happen?
Maybe.
Well, hey, I'm not gonna say anything, but
Forrest told us that if somebody else on the team was
somebody might have suggested that I bring her out. It might have been the captain.
Might have been.
The captain.
I thought you were talking about something else, and I was like, oh, I remember that the last night.
Oh yeah, no, we're not talking about that one. Whole different story.
Well, what kind of basketball player are you, Des? What kind of hooper are you?
I'm very. I think I still am. I'm very athletic, but to be honest, I've had a love-hate relationship with the game myself. So I would have never, if you asked me 5 years ago if I would be involved in sports in this way, I would have never thought I would be. I thought I would be in the music industry, but we're not going to talk about that either.
Some musical background here.
Her game mixtape.
No.
Her game media content.
Man. If it wasn't such a, if I had the time, I try to find the video, but I don't think I have the video right now.
What's the video of? Explain
of me singing.
Of her singing. So I mean, we were on the bus, and you know, the bus driver gave us the mic instead of doing the tour, and we played music, and everybody was singing, and obviously Des also sang on the bus, and Des can sing. You know what I mean?
That sounds like an intro to a really dope new music video. Flashback footage that you use to bring in the new song. That's dope. That's fire.
There's all around talent, you know what I mean? All around talent. And she can sing, she can ball, you know what I mean? Obviously she's doing what she's doing now, so all around talent.
Tell us about how Des got started. Like growing up in Carson, California, athletic family, all your brothers and sisters would get shuttled to the games and stuff. What was that like growing up in Southern California?
Well, yes. I like to mention like this to in every interview that like we didn't really have access to like the nicer gyms in the areas. So my dad was really both my parents were hands-on. Like my mom would be the loudest one in the gym, obviously, and my dad would be hands-on with us with working us out, and he would also play in the games with us at the parks because the boys aren't trying to play against the girls. So just imagine, I'm Samoan and Mexican, so my dad's this big Samoan guy trying to step foot on the court, and everybody wants him on his team, and comes like me and my two sisters just ready to go after my dad made it clear that he had us on his team. But yeah, that was us growing up, and he would pack up my brother. Like he would pack up. Back in the day, there was Game Boys. I don't know if you guys know that.
Yes.
There's Game Boys, and he would make sandwiches because the snack bar was very expensive there too. And we would just be there all day. I know this facility is closed now. It's a facility in Anaheim. Had about 20 courts, and luckily and fortunately, all three of us were playing in the same tournament. So my dad we would rotate back and forth to see who's gonna keep each other's stats. And then if you had a good game, it's great. If you had a bad game, it's a terrible ride back home.
Would he be telling you what you should have done on the court? Would he be lecturing you guys?
Absolutely. And then he had a camera too. So
footage. You watch film.
He would, Saturday mornings, he would, rewind and pause every little thing. And
oh no,
I mean, it helped me later down the line with constructive criticism, but I hated it. Raina, everybody else loved it, but I was just like, I don't want to see this. I know what I did. Like, stop. Why are you pausing this?
Why are you playing this back?
That's so dope. Intensive critique right after, like, hey, look, before you relax, I'm gonna let you finish. But
so
this game footage.
With that, now that I'm an adult, I just see how sports and like the career that I'm in right now goes hand in hand. Because what I know some people think it's so stereotypical that Polynesians or Pacific Islanders gravitate to being athletes, but a majority of the time, that's how we have these opportunities with our scholarships. And what you learn in sports, you could apply to life, like how to communicate with your teammates on the court or on the field. How do you communicate with your coworkers or with your boss? Or how do you respond to adversity? You make a turnover, are you going to fix it? Or are you just going to sit in that mistake and play back, rewind everything, and it'll affect your game for the rest of the time? So I've learned so much from my experience now, even though I mentioned before, I did have a love-hate relationship with sports, but I see how it helps my girls, or I don't want to say my girls because they're not, they are. They're like my babies, my girls, my kids. I see how it affects them because, when we go with the statistics, it's I think at the age of 9, girls drop out of sports and they lack confidence. And with everything, they're often being told no in so many ways. And they don't, and the double standard of if you're speaking up, you're doing too much, or if you're in the forefront, you want the attention. So it goes, still there's a couple of things that we have to work through, but I know, like, with the direction of women in sports right now, I know I'm rambling, but I just go.
Oh, you're good.
Keep going.
Tell us.
I just know that progress has been made, but we still have a long way to go. And I know that, some people can't see it right now, but eventually and essentially they'll see.
Hey, that's what vision is, yo.
Yep.
Especially having that vision before it's normal for other people.
Right.
That's something that.
Right.
And just to let you know, Des, coaching in American Samoa and coaching women, what you're doing now is going to really help them because, everything you talked about now, all the things that women have to face here, imagine that being magnified 10 times back home because girls are looked at in Polynesian culture as sit back, stay in the background, don't do too much. Like you said, if you're playing sports, you're not encouraged to play sports as a girl back home. It's like, why are you playing sports when you could be at home doing for else? So, it's pretty tough for girls back home. So just to let you know, you're reaching girls back home. I've had past players who talk to me and they always tell me that that's cool that I know you and just the stuff you're doing. So yeah, keep pushing. You're reaching people that you don't know yet. So yeah, good stuff.
Appreciate it. Appreciate this. Thank you.
Continuing to reach out and empower young women and to show that that normalization that we've arrived to as a society that doesn't fully appreciate women and what they do for, not only us, but for society needs to be broken and reset. And Eri had a really good point on how to try to fix that or what we could do personally. Eri, go ahead.
Oh man. So Des, Lance asked us earlier, like how do you fix that? My biggest thing is make that shit cool. You know what I mean? There's this IG influencer dude named Wallow267. He was saying we control cool. You know what I mean? When you make that shit cool, other people look at you growing up like, oh, bet, you know what I mean? I'm not worried about the negative. You know what I mean? We're gonna uplift people, we're gonna uplift women. And when you make that shit cool, bro, people start doing it. You know what I mean? You make that shit popular. It's crazy how the domino effect works when you show how being a good person is. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that like it's easy to hate and to be neglectful in those circumstances. You know what I mean? When you show them that, it's worthwhile to, lift women up, not break them down, because it's something I've been learning to do more since I moved back home. You know what I mean? Seeing the young boys in my family. Like I got a niece playing football, youth football. She's only like 8 or 9, bro.
Nice.
She going ham. They just had a jamboree the last weekend. You know what I mean? And she's more excited than any other, any other players out there. And I was like, see, she's grateful for the opportunity, brother. You know what I mean? It's so expected for boys to be playing the sport, that they go there and it's easy for them to take it for granted. And then it's just hella cool, bro. It's dope. You know what I mean? Make that shit cool. It's cool to see it.
Make respecting women the normal cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Des, what are some things you've seen that could more empower women?
I think what's so beneficial, I want to start off with you guys just giving me the opportunity to speak about women in sports. And it takes that for men to come forward and stand up for women in sports like yourselves. And then it started off with, with my dad. My dad, even though my dad, he still has no filter. He just led us to believe we could do whatever we put our minds to. And even Kobe, he championed for women in sports. It's definitely men coming forward for us and putting us on a pedestal, but also us understanding that we belong in these spaces too, and for other women to show up for one another. And it's coming with different approaches when it comes to events. Because what I've learned working in the grassroots space for boys in sports, I've applied it, all the experiences from, I've done a lot. I've worked a lot of events, a lot of shoe campaigns, even volleyball tournaments. What I've incorporated, or from my experiences, I've incorporated it to her game. And it works because it really hasn't been done before, and girls haven't been showcased in that way. We're starting to do that now more often, but yeah, it's progress.
It's continual. What is it? Persistent. We've got to keep it up, because it's one of those things that if we kind of let it slide and we let it backslide, then it's like other people will continue to not hold women to the esteem that they deserve.
Right.
Tell us about her game. You tell us about how it empowers young women and builds social justice through basketball. Like, how did it start, and what do you guys do?
Well, yeah, so I'll give you the whole story.
Yes.
So yeah, we launched in October 6, 2019, where we invited some of the top middle school prospects in Southern California to come in and compete. We had, like I mentioned, I worked in the grassroots space for boys basketball, so they would have like different broadcasters or media outlets covering them. I had the relationships that I built, my friendships, they came out. Those media outlets came out for the girls, high school coaches, college coaches that were able to attend. They came out, travel ball coaches, and it was a good time. And I have a background in working in radio, so my friend that worked at Power 106 at the time, that was a DJ, she came and played music for the girls like during the All-Star game. So I had in my mind at first, I just thought it was just going to be showcases for girls. But from the feedback that I received, or we received, girls need more. They need educational workshops. They need, different women to come forward and be role models as well. And we had different women in roles for the first event, from scorekeeping to the referees to the DJ to the host. My sister was the host, to the coaches. My friends were the assistant coaches, but I thought it was important for college girls to be the head coaches, for them to
nice.
call the shots, because essentially we were looking for college girls that are looking to pursue a career in coaching, because we're trying to push that. We're trying to push more girls into coaching, maybe coaching more women's or girls in sports. But yeah, and then it grew into doing a fall league following that. And then, with every event or every opportunity, there's some backlash, and a couple of girls received, a couple of girls were cyberbullied during the event, because they were showcased in huge platforms for the grassroots space. And at that time, I didn't really know how they could handle it as teenage girls. There was like grown men talking about them.
What, like on Instagram?
Yes,
in the comments?
on social media, cyberbullying. Yeah, so obviously 24-year-old Desiree would have been like, clap back queen, but
I know.
We're not
Just like,
Hold
he
up, bro.
knows. Forrest, I need you to find all the video.
No. So I was just trying to figure out ways to have them talk about their experiences in a healthy manner and respond in grace. So we had like a workshop dedicated for them. They expressed how it went down for that time, and how they got through it, and ways that they could channel their anger or how they felt at that time to something positive. And we had it was December where we had it, and then we had a vision board party too. So we didn't know how 2020 was gonna be.
Man.
So they just had, it's cool to like look at something and have like a visual presence of it when you wake up. All right, these are my goals and this is what I'm trying to do. So that's what we had. And then pre-COVID, we were supposed to have our unsigned senior showcase in SoCal, and then our prom dress drive. This would have been my third overall. This would have been her game's first. But yeah, in 2020, we just had to, like everybody else, adjust and figure things out virtually. And mental health it played a huge role in the girls' or the kids' lives, because LA was shut down. So there was a couple of people that were doing stuff, but we're not going to talk about that. But majority of the time, LA, like majority of the spaces or the locations for gyms, LA was shut down. So conversations that I would have with the girls to check in with them would just be like, I just don't have any motivation to play sports. Like, what's the whole point of training if there's
Get
no
to
game?
play. Yeah.
So we're just trying to figure out ways. We end up we end up having like Instagram lives where I'd have conversations with college coaches. And mind you, I'm very reserved. I'm very to myself unless it has to do with business or catching up with everybody. I don't really like, at first, I didn't really like the camera in my face. I like being behind the scenes. I like doing the backspace stuff, the logistics stuff.
Yep.
But in order for girls to understand or to hear the message was for me to come forward and have these conversations with different women in their respected industries. So we started doing Instagram lives, started doing a lot of Zooms, classes. We held different classes, and once things started to open up, we finally got back into it. And man, it was over a year since we had our first live event, and it was April 25th. I'll never forget. It was our first open run for college, for JUCO girls, and I mean their season was cut short. No, they didn't even have a season. They were able to gain another season because they didn't have a season, but it was an opportunity for them to get some runs in. And like a couple of pro ladies came in, and that's what we were focusing on, because our high school girls and middle school girls at the time, they had tournaments started coming up again, and high school season recruiting periods. The recruiting period ended for the girls, I believe July 25th or the 24th. The majority of the high school girls were in their different circuits, the EYBL Nike circuit, Adidas Gauntlet circuit, all those different circuits for.
That's this year?
Yeah. Majority of their events were held in Atlanta. So with that, we've had a couple of collaborations as well. For National Girls and Women in Sports Day, we did a collaboration with Wilson Basketball.
Nice.
It was exciting. Obviously it was like COVID friendly, so we would have it wasn't like the clear cut cameras. It was what we had to do. We did what we had to do, like submit our videos from our phones for the girls, or for the girl that spoke up and said what she felt in her heart. And then we had our collaboration with Foot Locker for Women's History Month. And that was in the middle of rebranding for her game. I started off with having partners, and we went our separate ways. So it was just in between, like trying to figure out how we were going to come forward coming out of COVID, how the logo was going to change, how we're going to do things differently in this space. So yeah, that was a great opportunity when Foot Locker approached us for Women's History Month, and I got to do it with my sisters and a couple of girls that still keep up with us with her game, and we were able to shoot majority of the content that's posted on our YouTube page. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yes.
Good plug.
So
it was shot in Carson as well, so it was always coming back home.
What's your favorite restaurant in Carson?
I like this burger spot.
Tom's?
No, it's called Big Burger. It's right by Cal State Dominguez. Or Yellow Basket fries. I would have big burgers, fries.
Yep. Yellow Basket.
Yellow Basket
That's
just got a facelift. That's
Yeah,
a whole
they
new
did.
building out there.
It's a vibe.
It used to be like an old thing that we drove by, and the last time I went, my sister was like, "Look over there," and I was like, "Oh, it's like a McDonald's."
Like they made it.
It looks nice.
They
It looks
made
so
it. Hell yeah.
nice.
Before I see my family in Carson, I usually go grab a plate of chili fries from Tom's on Sepulveda. And then
I
I
know
show
where
up,
that is.
I show up smelling like chili to the family. And they,
Hey.
anyways, her game out here providing that community space for girls to be and thrive and flourish, also providing real league games and runs. So these girls are having something that keeps them motivated, that they're training towards when all the COVID shutdowns happened. Also, education materials, anything else that girls are coming into her game events with, and just like the feedback that you're getting, and then you're going off of whatever you can do to help girls from what they're telling you.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Is
Yes.
that right? That sounds
Yes.
that sounds like exactly what we need more of.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Was it? So earlier you mentioned that you were doing little workshops with them, so they could deal with the cyberbullying, right? Or how they would deal with social media stuff. Man, did you take all of those variables into consideration when you started doing those open runs, or like was that something like you had to play by ear? Like, oh damn, like I can't just worry about what they bring to the court. I got to worry about what they take back home, like, and how they deal with it. You know what I mean? Like, was that something you knew at first? Is that something you saw happen in real time? You're like, oh shoot, jump on it.
I think I knew everything was going to change after the first event. So I kind of stopped what I was doing before, how I would respond before, because it's an entire brand that we have to carry, or that I have to carry, I have to represent. And I think it definitely changed me when it changed my whole look in life when I became close with these girls after that event.
And you feel responsible for them even outside of your program, like on the internet, when grown-ass men are trying to degrade them and their skills and stuff.
Yeah,
That's some bullshit, bro. You don't even comment.
We go through a lot as women.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
I did. I mean, I guess you found out that you couldn't respond anymore as someone part of her game. You had to respond as the leader of her game. So that's dope.
Right, man. That's so tough to like.
Yeah, the transition. To
your backstory thus far, though, like really does showcase a lot of like the mental fortitude, and it's you know what I mean, that you were able to deal with that from a young age, right? And so like now you're like, well, how do I take all the strength that I've garnered thus far in life, right? And how do I teach it to younger women that are dealing with it and probably haven't had as much preparation as I have.
Right.
Man, that's dope, yo.
I feel like we can't be too worried about like the extra stuff. We just got to start. We just got to do something, and then all that stuff we're gonna figure that out as a That's what I mean. Doris was talking about in episode 8 when she was like, I got started. I was handing out these water tanks, and people were like, well, how are you going to fill those water tanks? There's going to be empty water tanks for people. And it's like, oh, okay. That's something I have to think about. That's another step that I have to make sure, another box I have to make sure is ticked. But that's something you find out once you start.
Right.
And just starting and providing that space for people is the most important part. And then you kind of smooth over, you smooth over the bumps as you go, and you handle them as you go. What are some of the future events for her game that you guys are planning? Maybe not the special information, but what are some things you're excited about?
Well, I'm excited to do this collaboration next Saturday with Hoop Bus. It's featured everywhere. It's their Instagram is at the Hoop Bus. So it's a big community bus it's a huge yellow bus where they have a basketball hoop on the back, and they come to different community events. And this is going to be their second collaboration for doing something with women in sports, and it's going to be really special for obviously the middle school girls, the high school girls, but also the college girls that are still in town before they leave, because I want them, or we want them, to be more hands-on with the girls. I mean, I feel like they're tired of my voice sometimes, so it's nice to have a couple of people or other people come in that look like them. Most importantly, that play the sport or play different sports, or that were an athlete, and they could share their experiences with these younger girls. But the thing that's so cool about Hoop Bus is that they have their backboard like decked out, that's featured like a woman made the backboard, and it says "We Got Next" on it. And the inside the bus, it's like different collages of different women that played basketball. So it's
Nice.
going to be a really cool experience next Saturday. In the end of this month, we're looking to do a showcase for our high school girls in LA. Right now, we're looking to expand in the soon, but showcase on the 29th. And then we're doing something in, sorry, I'm all over the place. On the 14th is the Hoop Bus. I'm going to Utah because we're expanding over there.
Nice.
To the 28th, and then our showcase is on the 29th, back here in LA. And that's something that people should take in consideration too, is that I guess we have, well, I didn't know until my cousin moved out there that, I mean, Utah has a really big Polynesian background there.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did not know that. And August is dedicated to them, like Polynesian month. They have different festivals.
Oh, nice. In Utah? Like it's a
Yeah.
state? Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, they have an entire Facebook page dedicated to their festivals. There's something happening every other day in Utah, and it's cool. And I've been to, like, when I was there, I was there in May just to see how it's like over there and see if we could slowly but surely expand over there. They're teaching the kids the language at the charter schools. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you can teach me some things.
That's
Let's
dope, yo.
go.
Yeah, so
Also,
it's so cool.
that's teaching kids the language. And then
Yeah.
also San Francisco Unified was offering
Yeah.
Samoan as a language credit for
Yeah.
like schools. That is so cool. That's gonna, man. So you hear this all the time from like the older Samoan people, is that the language is dying out. So the whole culture is gonna die out. But now we're starting to invest and plant seeds that is going to be able to grow and keep that alive for so much longer. And to see our language as like in like a legit state school website thing as an option is super dope, man. Because it's like, hey, we're seen. And that's
Right.
what
We matter.
yes.
Of course.
Appreciate it. That's not
Yeah.
that's taken for granted. That's not a given
Yeah.
that people's voices and their groups automatically
That's
matter.
true.
So man, it was really nice to see those things things happening.
And
You taking
absolutely,
you taking Desto with you?
you already know. You already know she's gonna come to the Bay with me next month.
Nice.
Find a date, and then the 29th, she's hands-on with the 29th, the 14th. Utah is just gonna be really quick because I still have to figure out a couple of things that we want to look to do over there outside of sports. So we definitely want to push the like different community events, whether it's canned food drives. We did that. We actually did that in January over here in LA. Or
Ooh. What do you have to do to set up one of those food drives? Is that just making calls and getting people to bring stuff in and then donating it, or how does that work? Because that's something that we're interested in doing.
Right.
Are those drives and like community works to help underserved parts of the of our communities? So how does that work?
yeah, so with us, we obviously have to do the research of who we're going to partner with or who we're going to give our donations to, and make
Mhm.
sure that they're giving it to the people, not just posting it on their recaps or
Yeah.
on social media, and then just
Make sure
saving
it's
it. Yeah.
really
Make
helping
sure it's,
someone.
yeah,
Yeah.
make sure it's authentic, and then reaching out to different people in the area where they could get the word out. It's just a lot of text messages, a lot of emails, a lot of calls.
Grassroots
And
organizing is what it sounds like.
absolutely at its finest. And I mean, and if they don't want to partner with us, then we're talking to the wrong people, and we'll keep it pushing and talk to somebody else that's gonna help
Amen.
out. But yeah, it's I mean, I'm not afraid of hearing no, because there's gonna be a yes later down the line. It might not be right now, it'll be soon.
Thank you.
So yeah, it's a lot of that. And we're very selective or careful of how we're going to promote community events. Like we could do something, but we kind of like the intimate conversations that we have, that we're helping out people. Like I mean, to each his own, but I think it's cool to have that conversation that's not recorded, with the people that we're helping out, and just really understand where they're coming from, and figure out ways to help them, or provide something for them. So yeah, that's what we're looking to do in Utah, and we're looking to do stuff in Utah. So I'm excited about that. Yeah, it's a lot of calls, a lot of text.
It's deeper than rap with you, man. That's you doing a lot, yo. You talking about so nonchalantly, it was motivating the shit out of me. Like it's man, it's really beautiful to see, like, all these events you want to get started, that you reaching out with people, you talking with them, doing all the work.
Starting.
Right, yo.
I just want to get started, but things are moving, and that's you doing it. And yeah, that's right. Really good to see.
That's that faith in the mission is like, I can relate to that. That stuff to have, like you said, if there's a no, I know there's gonna be a yes down the line. You know what I mean? But that no is not finna deter me from working as hard as I do. You know what I mean? Like you said, keep it pushing. That's dope, yo. That's dope. That's really motivating to see. For Pacific Islanders, for women, for young men coming up, to see that yo, bro, people's out here making moves. You know what I mean? Moves you probably not paying attention to, but bro, moves nonetheless.
I think I have two pointers. I think sometimes with our community, it's like, I feel like it's a double-edged sword sometimes that I don't really pay attention to, but I've noticed that, like, there's people that truly do genuinely support you, and there's people that just are like, you know, like questioning everything.
Right.
But and then another point is definitely making sure to take time out for yourself to disconnect and plug and detox, because there's 2 times where I experienced being burnt out, and the last time I told myself I'm never gonna do this to myself again. I actually was like, I had a mental breakdown. I was crying, and then my sister Kristen was there. She's like, "What's happening?" I was like, I don't want to talk about it, but it's figuring out when to say no, and understanding the power of saying no when it's crucial to yourself, because I don't want to pour out of an empty glass. I want to make sure my cup is full before I give to others. So I think it's like, for me, it's meditation, doing my daily devotions, my daily affirmations, working out. Skincare is good, right?
Let's go.
Oh, peep the glow, peep the glow.
It's the little things like that, and before getting back into it. But yeah, I just wanted to add that.
Amen.
How long before Becky Hammond is the NBA head coach? And why is it not already?
Well, I think it's still, like I mentioned before, it's still, how do I say this in the filter?
Say it.
No, I don't. I'm trying to.
Say it. Is the NBA not ready?
I don't
NBA they're still part of that old boys network, huh? They just don't want to let her
Yeah.
in. I'll say it. I'll say it.
I mean, it's like that for even the grassroots side of
Yeah.
Right.
girls
Yeah.
in sports. Like it's weird for people to see like someone that's a woman doing stuff for girls in sports because it's dominated by men as well. So
Right.
it's
I mean, if
we
Becky
talked to
Hammond,
Doris. Oh,
Becky Hammond don't have a job. I mean, we don't even have a woman head coach coaching a men's team. You know what I mean? In college. So, I mean, if we can't get one in college coaching a men's team, how hard is it to get one in the NBA?
I don't know what these percentages are so freaking low, or like 10% in Samoa Parliament dedicated to females, or not having any representation in these high coaching levels. Women are half the world. You telling me there's not enough basketball playing women that have had the careers and the qualifications that deserve a shot at being an NBA? I think somebody is qualified, and with the resume of Becky Hammond. I mean, okay, so if Becky Hammond was a man, if it was Beck Hammond, would have been hired already?
Yeah, she'd definitely be the head coach of the Blazers right now.
So that happens not just at high, one of 30 positions in the world level, but also, like as Des is saying, all the way down to just childhood, where girls are told no, they can't, and guys are assumed to just continue. So girls aren't encouraged to play sports if they want to, even if they want to, like if that's something they want to do, but they're told that's not going to work out for you, so you should stop trying. How does this make any sense?
Well, maybe there's another opportunity that's going to be presented to her later down the line. I don't want to I know we've had conversations with our girls about like sometimes with them being in high school, like nobody really comes to their games, but it's a packed house when the boys play right after them. And I know it happened to us when we were growing up, but yeah, it's not fair, but how are you going to
Change it,
get through it, or go against the odds? Are you just going to say like, well, it sucks, so I'm not going to play anymore? No, you're just going to figure out a way to move through it and adjust and know that something else is coming.
I think you kind of did it. You elevated a women's platform where you are able to put some really strong women in a bunch of the positions, like at your events, whether they be refs or coaches or players, and just kind of showing people that it can be done, that women can have their own games, that they're badass and they're ballers just as much as guys can have all their own guy leagues. Just showing that representation, just showing that it's a thing that people love and are passionate about, and that in turn helps other people that are passionate about it, that don't feel like they can, be as loud or as open, to be that honest with themselves and
you making that shit cool,
them.
Yo.
Yeah,
like you setting the vibe, man. That's fire. To see like every facet that you got the college girls being the coaches for the team.
That's part
right.
of
And like you work with friends sorry, I'm going off. I'm seeing like the vision for it, but like there's always those YouTube videos, right? Where like some coach has those private runs with NBA players, but they play with like college hoopers, you know what I mean? And then like that just makes you, that sounds like the direction that her game is going in. Like you finna raise the exclusivity, right? Bring all the awareness to it, and they gonna be like, "Yo, bro, she a baller? Did she hit her game runs?" You know what I mean? Like, or
right?
Is that right? Is that
so
something that you're thinking?
That.
Right?
Yep,
is that something that you're thinking of? That like, yo, bro, like, you know what I mean? Like, is she a real baller? She gotta go ball up at her game, yo.
She
like,
gotta check out her game.
We gotta see how she do over at those private runs, family. Like, and like see WNBA players play with people from Carson, or anybody that's in the program. No matter whether it's in Utah, the Bay, LA. Like, bro, like that's man. I just feel like you're taking a strong step in that direction, family. Like, that's dope, yo. You're gonna see Chelsea Gray balling up at the her game camp. You know what I mean? With younger women.
Whoop. Yes. How excited are you to see Tahina at the USA under-19 team?
Man, I talked to her. I was like, man, this is huge. I don't think you understand it's huge. She's like, yeah, I'm blessed. I'm like, no, like you're not only representing the country, you're representing like young Poly Pacific Islander girls and letting them know that they could be in this spot too. Because there's not really a lot of people.
Lance and Ebri, if you don't know, Tahina Pau, she's the starting point guard for the University of Oregon, but she also ran with Dez. You know, she's from Carson. You know, she's probably the starting point guard right now for the under-19 USA team. You know what I mean?
Go.
So check her out. Where's that?
Oh, she's from Oceanside, yeah, but she comes to Carson every.
Okay.
She comes out to work out and she has family over here. I just realized that I'm related to her some way later down the line on my papa's side. I don't know how we're related, but that's what my nana said. So I'm gonna take her word for it.
She's real. She's real. If you guys
real.
haven't seen her play, she's real.
She's Gatorade State Player of the Game in Cali. McDonald's All-American, even though they have she has a whole resume.
When is the under-19 tournament?
Right now they're in training. I don't know when they start playing, but she's in training right now with the team. I mean, you can follow her Instagram page. She posts all the time. She's phenomenal. She's the real deal.
We'll post that. Excited.
Are you gonna coach her in the future South Pacific games?
I was trying. I'm trying. I'm trying.
Play for the squad. How did you like your experience at the South Pacific Games?
Oh, she liked it.
Locking them down. Forrest says he would choose an offensive player on the opposing team and they would be canceled for the whole game.
That was Dez. That's what Dez did for us.
I was huffing and puffing, but I did.
That was my defensive stopper.
Where did you guys stay while you guys were out there? Did you stay with like other countries and stuff, like in a village, like the Olympic Village or different islands and stuff?
It was like, yeah, we did. It was great. It was an experience. I mean, it got us to bond and get closer to our team, or get closer to everybody from American Samoa. So we're grateful for that. We couldn't really go to the mall because of reasons, different reasons.
Why?
Well, Papua New Guinea they're still under they're at civil war. So everywhere you
reasons. Reasons, my guy.
Like literally before we got there, we were given a memo the government was telling people, the government forced the people of Papua to be extra nice to people during the games. So everywhere you went, people were like overly polite. It was scary.
Because otherwise they would be sanctioned.
Right.
Welcome to Papua New Guinea. Welcome.
You know what I mean? No joke.
Welcome. Do you like the view?
So I mentioned we went on a tour bus where Dez was singing, right? And so towards the end of the tour, we're supposed to hit this zoo or a reserve for animals.
Hey.
So, the tour guy got on and goes, so we're just gonna head back to the campus now because at this time of the evening the gorillas come out and they might kidnap you. You're like, you know what? Back to campus.
That was it.
Yeah, that's all you have to say. Gorillas, kidnapping, killing, back to campus.
The gorillas come out at night.
We're gonna hit the U.
You know what I mean? And then we're from American Samoa, so some of the kids were like an animal gorilla? It's like, no, fool, like the military gorilla, fool.
Like a guerrilla warfare. Call of Duty.
I can only imagine the Samoans like, man.
No, there were some kids who were like, gorilla? Let's go. No, not that gorilla, bro.
Gorilla? Oh, the gorillas.
Yeah. Not gorilla with the O, gorilla with the U.
Right.
The gorillas. Tell us, Forrest told us that you were able to work, you were able to have a visit to the Mamba Academy?
Oh yes. Oh wait, I was gonna talk about one thing from
Go ahead.
someone.
Go ahead.
Yes.
I want to
Go
hear
ahead.
this.
Even though it was like a point where I should be embarrassed, I'm not, because it's freaking Troy Palomar. Remember the game? So I'm thinking like we're playing against him and a couple of guys, because Troy had his camp there at the time too. That was when he was having
Joy and Ryan Clark, they were there.
Nice little basketball game.
yeah. So he was playing against them, and like we were playing against him, and he was center, and I was like, he don't got no hops. So I tried to take it to the basket. Bam! My gets slapped. Like it's a big old sound. Everybody's like, ooh. I was like, I don't care. It's Troy. He did it. I'll live that. I'll take that out.
That's what. Hey, everybody got
That's
quiet.
an
Look up.
all-pro safety. Calm down, guys.
I know.
He's supposed to block that.
Just like it's Troy Palomar, bro. Calm down.
Hey, Lance, you was asking about my point guard, telling me to take her out. That was one of the times where she was like, "Hey, tell her to come out."
Like, he's not gonna do anything to me. Bam.
Nah,
Like,
Troy
good.
said no free layups.
Nah, he said no free layups.
Okay, yeah, you said.
What is like Troy Palomar with his soft voice? He ain't finna do nothing to me. What?
He run through you.
Right, I
Have
thought he was
fun
gonna
on the bench.
block her shot, then give her a bottle of Head and Shoulders.
Always working. Always working.
But
Mamba Academy.
Mamba Academy, when it was Mamba Academy, it was, I never really got a chance to work an event with Mamba, but we were like, it was in the work. It was, we were just talking at the point. And there was a couple of times where I met Kobe, and obviously my voice was very shaky, and you know, my heart is beating really fast. And like the first time I met him, I didn't know that he knew about her game.
Oh,
So,
what?
That's dope. That's dope.
He's like,
So-
yeah, I know.
yeah, I was
Hey,
like,
what up,
I've seen
Des?
what you've been doing.
no, he didn't know my name, but he just
Uh,
like what her game is about. And he
Dope.
keep doing what you're doing. I was like, thanks. Like, I was stuttering. I was like, bro, I can't believe I just talked to him, and I looked at him in the eye, and like, even though
That's
I was
dope,
stuttering
bro.
every so often, but he was really trying to push for girls in sports. And then I remember the day that it was a Sunday, obviously we all know when that happened, when he passed away with the other victims from the helicopter crash. I was on my way to Mamba Academy because it was a tournament that they had. It was called the Mamba Cup. It was kind of like, it was so it's like, it was like different sessions of like how the EYBL circuit is ran. Like there's session one over here in January, session 2 is over here in March, session 3 is over here in April, or like January session 1, February session 2, during basketball season. So he was trying to have something like that at Mamba Academy, when it was called Mamba Academy at the time. And then
What's it called now?
it's called Sports Academy. It's back to being called Sports Academy.
Oh.
So yeah, I was on my way over there, and then my best friend texted me, and she got the news, and she was like, they're just announced that he died. He got in a car accident or helicopter crash. And I'm like, you're lying. I'm on my way over there right now. And so I call a couple of parents that are over there, and they're like, oh yeah, he's supposed to come in like 20 minutes. And then I was like, I heard something different. There's an accident. And she was just like, let me call you back. Let me figure this out. And then I call someone else, another parent that's over there, and I just hear like screaming and crying in the background. I didn't go. I was at home because I just didn't know when to go.
Mm-hmm.
So it was confirmed, and then they told me before I found out on the news that Gigi and a couple of other players were in the plane, or in the helicopter too. So that was an event. I mean, it didn't take time. It took time for me to like kind of gather myself because like, yeah, I mean, I had to be there for the girls because they looked at Kobe
Yeah.
and they're friends with Gigi and the two other girls that passed away too. So I had to make sure that they were okay. And then, I made hometown hero. I had to cry later down, like afterwards, like when I'm in the car or when I'm at home, when it's safe for me to cry. I didn't want to cry in front of them. So that was eventful. And then we end up having a memorial dedicated to the victims, and we invited a couple of girls, it was a majority of the people that parents included pre-COVID. It was a bonfire in it's called Dockweiler Beach in LA. That's where we have like different bonfires. So we had that space for them. We had a pastor, we had like different closing remarks, we made s'mores, and it was just brief, something that they could reflect on. And the last time, that was the first time that they saw each other since Saturday incident, and majority of the girls that were at the event that we had, they didn't go to school during the week because they didn't want to answer weird questions from people. They didn't really eat. It's different taking it as a young girl or a young kid experiencing that one of your friends passed away so tragically, and you didn't know how to. I mean, it's traumatizing.
Right.
Sure.
It still is.
Yeah.
Thinking about I thought Kobe was gonna be like Bill Russell, man, just like that old ass dude at the NBA Finals that everyone was like, "Look at this OG,"
and then he flipped people off.
He's like, "Fuck you guys, I'd whoop all your asses." That's what I thought Kobe was gonna be, man. And that morning, oh fuck, it sucked.
Where were you guys at? What were you guys doing?
Man, Noah had just left Federal Way. He was back here, and so I was trying to text him all morning on his drive back. You know what I mean? Like, and so I'm a Jordan fan. So like during Kobe's playing time, like I wasn't a fan of his. Obviously, I knew how great he was, but not until he left the NBA is when I fell in love with Kobe, with all the work he was doing with the younger girls and just women in sports in general. And I fell in love with Kobe because that's what I was trying to do back home. So I mean, I was torn, man, but I knew how torn like Noah was because Noah's probably the biggest Kobe fan I know.
Right.
And so he called me back, and he had a 2-hour drive in silence, and he wanted to call me. And so I felt bad, but I even felt more bad for him, and just you know what I mean. And people that didn't even like Kobe. That's how far his reach was. People who weren't Kobe fans, not Laker fans, were all crying. You know what I mean? Because they knew Michael Jordan, to me, will always be the greatest player ever. But his reach after the game, I'm sure he does stuff that we don't see because he does a lot of his stuff on the under. You're hearing about a lot of his philanthropy now. But Kobe from the get, as soon as Kobe left the game, he was doing everything he could to further everybody else's game. That's his greatness. Of course, he's the great, you know what I mean? To me, 1 and 2, Jordan and Kobe. But off the court is what made Kobe better than Jordan to me. Everything he did off the court was for somebody. He gave, I mean, if he gave, like he said, he gave his heart to the game, he gave everything else off of it to everybody else he was trying to help. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's mainly why it's devastating to see, because like you said, Des, those girls, I can only imagine them looking up to Kobe and looking at all the things he was doing for them. And then to see him leave like that, it's almost like, now what do we do? Who's going to push for us now? And so, which brings us back to you, Des. All the work you're doing now, you're continuing his work. You don't see it now, Des. If you don't see it now, you will. But I mean, I'm not even being overly dramatic. You are literally continuing the work that he's doing for these girls. They now have someone to look at, and now they can say, that's where we're going to go now. You know, before, when that happened, I'm sure they were lost. They didn't know what they were going to do, who they were going to turn to, what was next for them. And whatever Mamba Academy was providing for them, her game can now provide for them. So that is your legacy, Des. You know, that's your legacy.
Lock out Flores, man.
Yeah. And the three of us, Des, whatever you need, we are gonna push your legacy forward.
Hey, truer words have never been spoken. Oh, that's
man. So believing Kobe to be invincible and then seeing him pass away was one thing. And then to learn about Gigi, who was going to be, Mambacita,
right,
and the rest of the players and their parents, and it just turned into like this really sad, just realization of loss and like the potential that was supposed to happen to help change the world for better was gone. And then, like Forrest said, not just those players that helped Kobe, but regular ass people were like, okay, who do we look to now for like a good representative of where the game should be going? And I've been lost for a long time, but now I'm seeing people that are using their passion to help those around them and to help those like them and to help those not like them. And people like yourself and what you're doing with Her Game are exactly what gets us pumped up and what motivates us and what we want to highlight here on this show forever. So like they said, you've got us inspired. Our whatever we can do to help, that those things are yours. Let us know how we can contribute, and we fucks with the vibes. We want to.
It's a way.
The hell of it. Yeah, let's all together now.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's just a lot of this talk, man. Be talking with my older sister Doris. She said she talked with you for a little bit about stuff, but like man, just the whole creating the space, making the movement, and then there's times where you do get burnt out, but you have a vision for the end goal, right? And you know that all of it's going to be worth it. But like right now it might suck, but it's finna be dope. You know what I mean? And like the vision is grand. People's visions for you and the hopes for Her Game and everything that that it got going on is more than high. Yo. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
You finna do dope shit, yo. That's dope, man. It's and it's what's crazy is that like, yeah, there might be times where you like might feel down out about it, but like and I'm not too much on logic or numbers. I wouldn't say I'm not too big on logic, but Lance is all about the numbers. But it makes sense that if you keep doing what you're doing, you know what I mean, keep doing all the good things, you'll do great things. You know what I mean? It's just, it only makes sense.
The people that don't realize what you're doing eventually will. The people that are saying no are missing out on the great work that you're doing. And you're, like you said, you're able to move that down the line to a yes that's meant for you. That's bigger.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I was gonna add on to that, the conversation with Kobe as well. I've never seen a lot of grown men cry, like making entire posts about Kobe and like sick to their stomachs. Like I've never seen that. And it's not, I mean, I'm not saying it's cool to see, but it's nice to know that like men really did gravitate to what he was doing too.
Right. It was more than what he did on the court. Like,
right.
Grown men were so hurt because of the things he was doing off the court.
Right.
And that just, it makes him greater than anybody to play the game. So, yeah. I mean,
I feel like part of it was also growing up. And when I first started paying attention to basketball is when Kobe joined the Lakers. Mm-hmm. And that kind of part of my childhood, all the winning, right. That was great. Right. But then the process, how he was like such a hard worker that people would leave the team. Like Dwight Howard couldn't fucking handle it the first time in LA because Kobe wanted him to do shit. Mm-hmm. And now he's back.
Again.
How How do you feel about the Lakers free agency additions?
I mean, if we don't get a ring, this is gonna be so embarrassing.
It's like, yo, this has to work.
This has to work.
As a Chicago fan, yes.
Chicago free agency, how you guys doing up there?
Oh, we're doing good.
Oh yeah, Lonzo Ball,
DeMar DeRozan,
whoa, Vucevic,
Caruso.
Oh man, yeah, I forgot about that. Shout out the headband goat, AC Fresh 21, Alex Caruso.
Hey,
Shout out Caruso. Hey,
You know what?
Mac McClung, what's up?
I mean,
Oh,
but he wasn't drafted, so I don't know if anybody wanted him.
Steal. It's a steal.
No, he is. You know what? Speaking of LA teams and free agency, how hard was it for you to watch Candace Parker and Chelsea leave the Sparks?
I think, well, what they were doing outside of the Sparks as well. Like, I know Candace was hands-on with one of my girls. Like, she still is, but
Right.
it's kind of different now that she's not. Yeah.
Distance, huh?
Yeah, she's not there. And she played a huge role in this girl's life. I mean, she's on her Instagram too. So I talked to her. I checked on her as soon as I got the news. I was like, hey, so how are you feeling? She's like, we'll just still keep in touch. But even though she won't come to like the different like Junior Sparks events,
Right.
or the Sparks games, it's gonna be different. But I think it's a good look for her. And then with Chelsea, it's a great, I mean, definitely we're gonna miss her. We're gonna miss seeing her in the Sparks jersey, but it was a better opportunity for her to be in Vegas. And I think in Vegas, like you have more love, or they show so much love for the Aces.
Yeah. Oh man, I was at that game and it's incredible. Their fan base is incredible.
Yeah.
So, they love Chelsea out there.
Is it because the Vegas team market share is a little bigger than the LA market share?
I also it's probably because it's also everything's so new right now to Vegas.
Yeah.
They got a football team.
Oh.
You know what I mean? They got a women's basketball team. They got a hockey team.
Mm.
I think they're about to get a soccer team. So yeah, obviously Vegas was popping before all that. Now it's like the destination when you go to, and all the events. Like they were given the choice to host the draft, and they turned it down. They were supposed to host the NFL draft in person. Was it last year? But COVID. So I mean, all these events. Yeah, all these events are just going through Vegas right now, and everybody there is just like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, well, let's embrace it because we've never had it before. So,
Vegas is up and coming on the sports scene.
I mean, hey, their football team's dope. Let me tell you that.
Ooh.
Anyways, moving on. Back to basketball.
Anyway.
Des, do you have a football team you root for?
No, I don't, but it's definitely not the Raiders. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay.
Speaking of the great Chelsea Gray, Olympian, shout out to the Olympic teams out there that are grinding up. Have you been watching any of the Olympics? What have you been focused on? Track, swimming, jumping, basketball, others?
I think I was like, well, at first with the Olympics last time, which I was just focused on basketball for both. But now that for her game, like obviously it's starting. We're starting with basketball, but like from the jump, because that's my background, we're looking to also support different sports as well.
Nice.
So like I mentioned, we're in the middle of rebranding, but we also want to let our volleyball girls know that we're supporting them, or our softball girls know. And even with, Oklahoma, they won the national championship, and they have two poly girls that are mentioned. One's a true freshman, I think. Her last name's Jenny. She's from over here in Long Beach area, Carson area. Her family's from Carson. And then there's another girl that's from Hawaii. Her last name is Alo, and she's looking to expand her
Gosling.
So, yeah.
Goslin's dope.
Yeah. So I think that I was still trying to keep up. And then I was like, I was asking my softball friends, like, oh, what's happening? Or my volleyball friends, what's happening here? And my track friends are like, okay, so if this happened, like, what does that mean? Like, she's just stopped running. Like, is it like she got a late start? Like, I'm still trying to figure out like how to understand each sport, and figure out ways to just show up for everybody and learning everybody's names, because growing up, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, we just only focused on the NBA. We did watch the WNBA when we did have our free tickets, but now that playing in this role, and that I've mentioned and had conversations with different of our younger girls to make sure that they're supporting these women too, because when they're women, they would want other people or younger girls to support them. So it's been I'm still trying to keep up, and if I don't keep up, then I have this app. It's not ESPN. It's another Instagram account that I follow. It's called More Than Balls. They have updates of all the stats and all the record breaking deals. So I just been keeping up with them. But it's been a roller coaster. I'm not even in it. It's only like 5 seconds. I'm in a commercial. Well, it's like, I mean,
Bro, you in a commercial, yo. Don't downplay it.
It's
Like,
5
it's
more
just a
seconds
short
than
No,
I have to
you
do
in
a
a commercial. Tell us about this commercial you're in.
Right.
I mean, you can't even see me. It's like 0.5, 0.2 seconds.
Is it a hair flip?
What do you do? He said,
It's a Comcast commercial. One of my girls is the main girl. Like, they have all different kids in different sports. They're pretending, or they're thinking that they're in the Olympics. So they shot it at USC. They shot it at it's a Comcast commercial. I'll send you the link, but they shot it at USC. And so she's pretending that she's playing against pros, and we were the pros. Me and a couple of friends were the pros at the time. So it's 0.5 seconds. You don't see, but it's cool to know that, like, oh my gosh, the commercial, I'm in that commercial, and you see it over here and it's showing at the Olympics. But what I didn't know, but now going forward with the NCAA ruling, or with athletes capitalizing on their brands, is the residual. I just, I was like, sign contract, cool, gonna be on the commercial. Didn't know that I could make so much more money off of that afterwards.
Ooh, yeah, damn.
Right, exactly.
tell us about this name, image, and likeness ruling and how it's going to change the game for athletes.
I think like I said, I'm just only focused on women in sports. And I think it's a huge step for women to come forward and capitalize on different endorsement deals and be confident in how they talk or how they're pitching. So with our younger girls, I've had conversations with them and saying, oh, that's cool. Like, I could finally do this. I'm like, yeah, so like, keep practicing, trying to figure out ways of how you could do it. Maybe jump on Instagram Live with me and we could figure something out. And then I mean, it opened a huge can of worms of like even our space. And, there was a couple of conversations where like random agencies came to the girls directly. And, the girls are still trying to figure out what they can profit off of. And the biggest thing for me, or for me and people that are helping her game, is for them to understand or know their rights before they sign their contract deals, and making sure that they're not getting taken advantage of with these agencies or different opportunities that are approaching them. So I'm just, being very protective with the girls that I've come in conversations, and even with the open runs that we have for college girls, I've ask them like, what do they think, or how do they feel about it? And they're like, yeah, there's a couple of people that have talked to me or that reached out to me. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, let's just make sure you read everything in writing before you sign something.
Damn.
Man, it's like another thing you might have to workshop for, or like
have some sort of class for it. Do you guys think these athletes need lawyers to look over some of these
financial
contracts?
advisors
or something? Yeah.
Yeah, representation definitely.
Yeah.
Because like if a big ass contract comes, but at the top it just says a couple $1,000, how many athletes are really reading past that money mark? They're just like, I don't really care what I have to do. Give me the money. I mean, and they might need the money. So like,
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ever going to be too upset at someone capitalizing off of their talents like that. But it's definitely something that other people are going to try to
Take advantage of. Yeah.
take advantage of. And they're going to be like, I know that this money can make some people to sign real quick. So, hey, go ahead and throw that 5-decade contract line in there at the bottom.
Right.
They won't even
Exactly.
And then you
Right, bro.
definitely important to be
I mean,
reading
and
everything.
It's scary because I was telling Lance and Eri that the numbers that were projected for Paige Beckers is that she'll be making through her next 3 years of college, she can make $1 million plus every year she has left in college. So like your girls, I mean, they're not Paige Beckers, but they're gonna look at that and be like, damn, what if I can make that kind of money? You know what I mean? And the first person that comes up to them is like, yo, okay, we'll offer you this, this, and this. And you're like, okay, I'll do it. Not knowing that, like Lance said, now you're stuck in a 5-decade contract making only like a quarter of what they promised you because of all the incentives on your contract.
Do you guys
That's
think
scary,
that
man.
that athletes are gonna see the money that like the top talents like Paige Beckers is making and realize, okay, I have to really work on my craft? Or is it just gonna still be just a very few amount of people that reach that level?
I think, well, there's like different athletes. So when you just mentioned that, I think there's going to be athletes that are entitled that don't want to work on their game, but assume that they earn everything that they haven't worked hard for. And then there's also athletes that are going to work hard, but there's politics that come into play with sports, with the recruiting services or whatever ranking that they have, and it's too early to tell, but it's a lot of conversations that need to be had right now before it gets out of hand. And I mean, obviously it will, because some people in sports, they don't really make it about the kids. So, I mean, they don't make it about the athletes, not kids, because they're young men and women. So yeah, it's a lot of conversations that need to be had and thought through, and I'm still trying to read through the NCAA ruling or what we could do for the college girls to be hands-on with our events as well. So I think it's great, and then I think it could be a factor of just, I don't know, it could be good, it could be bad.
Definitely has the potential for both. I think now that we're at this early point where we're at it could split off either way. We need to make sure that we're doing stuff to protect the athletes, and just to really make sure that American business doesn't infiltrate into just someone wanting to play basketball and capitalize off of that. But
Right.
American business, it gets into everything. And then it's like a numbers game.
I'm also glad that Paige trademarked Paige Buckets recently.
Yeah. That's probably gonna make her first million.
Right.
But man, but like, you think they're gonna be motivated to go to school? Even, bro, like, bro, you finna get paid millions of dollars. You ain't gotta go to class for a major. Like, that's definitely gonna affect the academic side of things, right? Like, or maybe they'll be like, oh,
or even
maybe
playing.
people, yeah, right.
Dude.
Like what?
Like, yeah, look at Mikey Williams already. He's considering going overseas or going straight to the G League. You know what I mean? And he's got these schools that he's just throwing on the side, like, yeah, I'm considering them too, but damn well he's not considering no school right now.
Doesn't have to.
He's already making. I think the first endorsement he signed was like close to 100,000 something, and that's only the first one. He signed multiple endorsement deals. So I mean, this kid's a senior in high school, already about to make millions of dollars without ever stepping on a pro court.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, that.
So what does Mikey Williams have that allows him to be that type of player coming out of high school?
He's the number one high school kid in his class. He's got bounce. He's got a deadly jump shot. You know what I mean? He's better than the kids in his class. Basically.
I think that plays a role, and then also like his following on social media as well.
Yeah.
Big
Mike Williams
following
hype
on
is
Instagram.
real big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another thing that has those positive and negatives is social media and the
Oh, for
power
sure.
of social media to share with others, but also to bring in asshole grown men to talk shit about girls.
Exactly.
Two sides to the coin. How do you, as a college athlete, now, what are some things in social media that you have to watch out for?
For them or for myself? Well, I'll speak for
I want
both.
to say everybody, yeah, but okay, yeah, but yeah, for kids.
For them, it's just understanding what you're posting, what your platform is about. If you feel strong, I mean, what we've encouraged for the girls is just voice what your opinions are, but make sure that you do the research too. Whether it's like your favorite influencer or celebrity posting that, make sure you read and you do your own thing about why you're for this as well. And even when it came to voting for, I mean, even though the high school girls weren't able to vote, they had their opinions of what they want to, not only just the president, but like different like the mayor, their governor, and figuring out why they want to vote. Why would they want to vote for them too, or their city council member? So them doing the research of what they want to post, what they want to stand for social activism or whatever it is, and then understanding what type of brand you want to show to the world, because at the end of the day, whatever you post, that's what you're showing to everybody, and you could filter it, but also make sure that you're authentic. Like for example, for my person, I give them my example too. For my personal account, like, yeah, I'm annoying when I post my business sometimes, but it's like, who else is gonna post it more? It's
right.
Who else is gonna do it? But also, like, just there's sometimes where I wear a dress. There's sometimes where, like, I go out to let. I mean, if I'm feeling myself that day, I'm probably gonna post it on the gram.
Ooh.
And I just want to encourage the girls too. Like, if you want to wear a dress, go ahead and wear a dress and post it, whatever you want. But also understand how you're going to put yourself out there as a young woman. If you want to be, whatever you feel comfortable with, but also be mindful of what you post too. So yeah, and not really, for them, it's just not really caring about followers. It's so big, and especially, I'm grateful that I kind of came in between that era of social media, and then outside of social media, playing until the lights were dark, and then going back inside and seeing that. But like, as a young girl right now, it's taking a toll of how they view beauty. And I mean, yeah, it's different conversations about that. I could go into detail.
That's a tough space to be in, man, because younger kids growing up, and like you want to teach them perspective, self-awareness, but I feel like that's the equivalent of trying to get, of like, what if elders were trying to get us to be more conscious about us using MySpace when MySpace was around? Like, we didn't care, you know what I mean? Like, we just did whatever the MySpace. You customized the page. I turned my little cursor into the hamburger helper glove. You know what I mean? It's just like, like all that stuff you don't care about. But like, now social media is a tool. You know what I mean? It's not just something you surfing on the web for. And like to tell them that, like, yo, I know it's super easy. Like, connections a lot of good and bad things can be done on social media. And then now you're trying to tell these kids, like, hey, bet all this stuff can happen. Know more about yourself, learn more about yourself, watch what you're posting. That's a lot of stuff to teach perspective, to a younger person. You know what I mean? Like that, man, that's a tough space to be in. Like trying to get them to consider all that and then do school and then worry about their sports and then, you know, worry about their own like upbringing outside of the sport. What do they envision for the world? How do they want to, man, that's I don't envy it.
Wait, we have to do it though.
I could be like, oh man, that's a.
It's like, oh, it's gonna be tough.
Tough, family.
We have to use social media for its positives.
Yeah, for whatever brand you want to post for the platform, and we definitely use it as a marketing tool. That's our number one marketing tool right now, because we have, I mean, different platforms. I know my aunties and uncles are on Facebook with their long essays about, so like what?
Man, imagine being so like all these kids having to deal with this stuff. Imagine being a Polynesian kid having to deal with it. So you deal with all of that, and then you got to, like you say, right? Then you got to go to church. Then you got to deal with fishing. Then you got to do for hours. And then and if you're a girl, now you got to hear people tell you, "What are you doing that for? Be more of a girl." You know what I mean? Be more respectful. Why are you doing that? Why are you always on Instagram? Why are you always, you know what I mean?
I can't wait to have a daughter.
So bad, man. Polynesian kids have it tough. Especially Polynesian girls, because they live a double standard. And I'll tell you, being a boy and growing up back home, I could go anywhere. From the time I was like 10, I could leave the house, come back at like 2 a.m, and all I would get was, "Where have you been?" You know what I mean? "Where have you been?" Out with the boys. "Okay, shower, go to sleep. You got school tomorrow." But my sisters would come home at like 7 or 8 and be like, "You know what kind of you know dinner's not ready." I was like, damn.
Dinner's not ready.
And yeah, girls back home, they got it bad. Like boys can do whatever they want back home, and girls will, like, they'll sigh the wrong way in the house and almost get murdered. You know what I mean?
Bro.
It's different, girls. Yeah, Polynesian girls have it bad. So like Des was saying, like it helped Des a little bit in Polynesian girls because mentally, like you said, you get criticism, and you have creative criticism. And growing up with Samoan girl, it's always just criticism. So when you get older and people start criticizing, you're like, yeah, I've heard worse. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Nothing you say can hurt me, Mike. Nothing.
Is worse than what my parents told me when I was 12. You know what I mean? So it's a good man. That's why I hold a light for Polynesian women and women in general. But because I'm also Polynesian, I hold Polynesian women to this high standard because of what they go through, man. And I know what they go through because I have one biological sister, but like I said, I was raised with like 14 girls in the house. And my mom has just been so phenomenal. Like the things that women have to deal with in the background that you don't know as a young man growing up. And then you find out later when you're growing up, the things that they have to deal with. You know what I mean? Like, it's incredible how they hold families together with dealing with just, you know what I mean, with their backs against the walls, really.
Fighting everything.
Yeah.
And don't say nothing. You don't even know about this shit. You don't know your mom's running the whole village.
Exactly.
Figuring out how to bring
years.
Right? Yeah.
You're just like, you don't know my mom just stays home. She doesn't really do anything. You know? She's my mom. She cool. And then you find out she was running the village and like buying people food and like taking
and she was
care
literally
of.
doing. She was at your dad's job doing half of your dad's job. You know, something like that. You know, just like
and your dad comes home looking hella tired, and your mom's like doing everything else that the
me too. She's like, I'm also tired.
Right? Your dad would come home, he's an accountant, and then he's like, "Hey, I gotta do this accounting stuff." And you look back and you, man, why was my mom always doing paperwork? Because she was doing my dad's job. You know? Something like
showing
that.
him how to do his job. You need to file that one before you do that.
Right? And being a Polynesian woman, you're taught from a young age to just do it, show your husband respect, work, you know, you're 100% behind your husband, no matter what. And if anything in the house is wrong, don't take it outside of the house. You know what I mean? Everything on the surface has to be perfect. And Samoan women had to portray that. You know what I mean? Polynesian women have to portray that. So the strength that they have, I mean, it's incredible. You know what I mean? And then even your mom, Des, being brought into a Samoan family, you know what I mean? The things that she's probably had to deal with that you've never heard of.
Yeah.
Man, it's you know what I mean? Anytime you're apart, even if you marry into a Polynesian family, you know what I mean? You still have to deal with the Polynesian norms of being a Polynesian wife. So, man, there's telling you. So I know a lot of people probably think the three of us talk a whole bunch of game about supporting women, but we know. Don't worry, we know.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the whole reason we're so down to be behind you 100%. And the rest of the women
I'm
that you're
fucking
trying
with
to
it.
help.
I am fucking
Right?
with it.
There you go. See?
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
That you talk about how that's how Polynesian girls are raised, and that's what they see in their family. Would you say that that's something you saw in yours, or was it different growing up in Carson with your mom and your dad? Did they teach you not necessarily to be subservient to a man?
It was different because yeah, my sisters and I, we all have strong, very strong personalities.
Amen.
Very strong personalities. So and growing up we did go to the church that my dad's family was brought up in, but then we also couldn't really make church. We would figure out times to do devotion or prayer because our tournaments would take place on the weekends, and sometimes we would have to leave really early because we'd have to drive an hour away or 2 hours away or 30 minutes away to get to these places and make sure that we're there on time and we're there the whole day because we're all playing. So I think both my parents taught me different things. My dad taught me, still I hold my dad to a high standard of how going forward when the time comes, when it does present itself, who I am initially going to marry, or who I'm going to marry, who I decide I'm going to marry, because my dad is put on this pedestal, and if he's nothing like my dad, then I don't want no part at all. And then with my mom, she's strong in her space. She's unapologetic with whatever she says. It's funny. It's funny too, because she'll say things like, she'll say whatever her opinion is, and then she'll end it like, I'm just saying, I'm just saying. Like,
so both your parents don't got the filter.
Yeah, they don't. And that's probably why we're just raised differently. And we're just so grateful. I know I'm grateful, even though I've given them so many headaches growing up, but
you know.
You see all the sacrifices that they made, having us in private schools, us three, and taking us to tournaments and paying out of pocket for these AU programs, because that's not cheap either. And then, knowing that you have to pay for this tournament, pay for the jerseys, pay for gas to get over there, pay for parking, then pay for general admission. Like, it's a whole entire process for an entire day that I just think about now, and then I'm just so grateful. And I'm like, and it's cool to see like the circle come around, or it's full circle, seeing that these parents, or my parents, are just like my parents, that they're so hands-on with their kids, and they want, like every parent does, or majority of the parents do, they want what's best for their kids, so they're going to do whatever they need to do to invest in them. So yeah. just to sum it up, sorry, I was rumbling.
No, you're good.
Man,
That's fine.
that's a beautiful kind of irony, man, that you keep mentioning that you had a love-hate relationship with the sport, and like now you're using it to just change. I don't want to say change the world to make it sound like too cliche, but you using it to like
Changes so many worlds, so many people's worlds.
like now
Just
look
to
at you.
be better.
You finna be a pioneer in a very crucial moment in the game, right? And they're like, oh man, it's just beautiful, bro. Look how God is using you. You know what I mean?
Amen.
That like you thought you had a love-hate relationship. Well, you say you believe you had a love-hate relationship, but then God's like, yo, I'm finna use that love-hate relationship that you got with it. And you know what I mean? And you finna love it. You finna make so many other people love it. You're gonna spread that love out. Man, that's a beautiful kind of irony, man. That's dope. That's dope how that came full circle. How it is coming full circle.
I like to find out things that our guest parents or like things that help shape them. So hearing about, your parents' commitment and like, yeah, parents usually want what's best for their child, but putting that into action is not always the easiest thing, getting those classes and having that time or, making that time in their schedules for such a strong presence in your guys' life, I think is kind of like a common thread that we're starting to see. And just being there for your kids is kind of like the best thing. So it's good to hear that from you and to kind of confirm that. A couple more questions to the guys. What are we proud about Des about?
Oh no, we can't do this.
Tell me
no.
how
I'm not about to
Desiree
I am
Ale.
not about to cry.
Tell
Yeah,
me
we get to
what
make
you
her cry.
feel.
Yes.
No,
No,
crying.
because
Just
Forrest
flowers,
said
just
something to
flowers.
me. Yeah, Forrest said something to me. He said it to me like a couple of weeks ago, and I just started bawling. I was like, oh my goodness.
What did you say? Sorry.
That I was hungry.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
No,
He said
hey,
something very sentimental, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna take this.
I mean, Des, we can say a lot of things about what we're proud of, but I mean, just the fact that it's because you haven't really felt your reach yet. Like you really don't know how many people you're reaching right now.
mm,
And the weight of everything you're doing, man, one day when you sit down and it finally hits you, like how many people you're helping, like Eri said, how many worlds you're changing. There's girls out there that really had nowhere to go. You're giving them a space, you know what I mean? And to be like really dramatic, you've given girls hope, basically.
amen.
And so,
Amen.
I mean, I was always taught if you have two things in life, really, there's nothing you can't do. And that's hope and faith. And that's what you're giving to a lot of, not just the young girls, but just, I mean, their mothers, you know what I mean? And so that's where I don't think you really understand. There's girls out there whose mothers that you're reaching to who never had the opportunities that you're giving their daughters. You know, they won't tell you that, but like you said, it's nice to see them at these tournaments supporting their daughters. You know what I mean? I'm sure if you sit down with a couple of them, they'll tell you though. They'll tell you how thankful they are for creating a space that they never had. You know, and so the trickle down from all of that, it's gonna go so far, Des, you have no idea.
Yeah. And it's more than just basketball, yo.
Yes,
You trying to teach them to be better people, right? To take care of themselves.
Yeah.
And then they can be a better basketball player. But worry about yourself first.
Yeah, basketball's secondary to what you're doing, Des. Basketball's just the tool that you're getting these girls to do great things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, man, it goes farther than the community that you think you are just in Carson and California. I mean, look, you're already branching out to Utah, and not to jump the gun, but I mean, if we make this trip in October, oh man. And so that's a big thing for me because it was the work that I was doing back home in Samoa. And I mean, Lance has been, he lived in Samoa. Me and Lance, we grew up. Lance grew up a little bit in Samoa. Eri's been back home. And if you're just back home, even for a week, you'll see how much your work is going to affect the girls back home. You know what I mean? It's, if you think your work here is like really, really doing big things, which it is, just, I mean, if you're able to establish something back home solid, it'll be, we say that you're changing lives here, but if your program can reach back home, I can honestly tell you, you'll be saving lives. No joke. You will be saving lives. That's a definite yes. You will be. There's girls' lives you will be changing and saving. So, yeah, you know what, Des? I'm proud just because God was able to, from 2015 till now. You know what I mean? We could have just separated after the games in 2015, but God somehow, you know what I mean, just was like, you know what? We're just gonna let this settle. You know, you guys will gradually become friends, but if you see where we are now, it's you know what I mean? It's different. You know what I mean? I literally, we could have been just after the games. All right, they're gonna go back to Carson.
All right, coach.
Right? You know what I mean? Nah, it was a cool trip. You know what I mean? Thanks for the trip.
Glad I didn't see any gorillas.
You've been through the trenches for us, man. You see, you did it all.
I'm saying this. I mean, the reach, and I'm not over religious. I mean, I grew up. I went to a Catholic all boys school. I grew up in the Catholic church. I was always taught to just like, you know what I mean? My parents were always like, you believe in what you believe. So my faith has always been shaped by a lot of things. But I do believe that God puts people in your lives that he knows, you know what I mean? Like the cliche saying, some are here for a season, some are here for a reason, some are here for a lifetime. You match all three, Des, in a lot of people's lives, not just mine. So that's your reach, and that's why I'm proud of you. That's your reach. You fill those three boxes.
You already know. You already know what it is. X.
There you go. See, I got it right there.
X? Yeah.
There it is. There it is.
There it is. There it is.
Hey, copyright that, make that an NFT. All that.
And see,
I'm waiting for the Her Game 30 by 30. 30 for 30. I mean, the Carson Parks documentary.
And look, now you're in contact with two even better gentlemen than me, Lance and Eri.
Oh, you better stop it, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, stop it.
Yeah, we only tell truths here. Man.
So yeah, dude. So yeah, dude.
And so this is, I mean, it's amazing because Eri's cousins, John and Lomi and Sema, we grew up and they were like my older brothers. And they're like, they're older brothers to Eri. And when Lance, I mean, who would have thought that a kid from Carson, and also me, also having spent time in Carson, when Lance got to Samoa, that we would be friends too. And look at the three of us now. That is not coincidence. I can't ever say that's coincidence.
Hey, Forrest, I say it all the time. God's plan is bigger than ours. You know what I mean?
Amen.
So if you think you're going through it rough now, just believe what God got planned for you on the other side of it. You know what I mean? Like, and like Des, bro, just like Forrest was saying, bro, you mean like, are you ready for how God finna use you? You know what I mean? Like, it's, bro, be ready for it, man. This is, oh man, this is dope. You know what I mean? It's just, it's hard to not get excited. You know what I mean? But then you still want to, you know, like keep a level head, right? With all the work that you want to get done. But then just getting excited for, you know what I mean? That's how that love and light works, man. That's what we all about.
Love and light, and pushing out that positivity towards our communities so that they can push that out to theirs. And you providing a space where women, young women, girls can come and flourish and be seen and feel safe and feel fulfilled is not a small thing. Like, that's what you're doing is big, and it's definitely, you know, life-changing here in the States. It could be life-saving to certain people out back in Samoa, but definitely you starting this and curating it to something not even just about basketball, but just to reach and help and save as many people as possible is a wonderful thing to see. And it's something that gets us fired up to emulate that. So you pump us up really, and you're an example that not only us, but our listeners, anybody watching, can use to as a blueprint to help their communities. So we very much appreciate all your work, your dedication, your passion. And like we said, any way we can help, not sure how yet. We're going to figure out some skills we have,
Right.
but whatever we have, those skills are yours, to advance her game and your vision. And Des, we appreciate you coming on today.
Well,
Amen.
man,
Yes.
thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you for just letting me share our story. And I'm not going to take credit for how everything came out with her game. I had a lot of help along the way, from my family being supportive to my friends being supportive. Shout out to Desto.
Shout out to Des. Hey, shout out to Jolie.
Shout out to Jolie. Jolie in Utah. Shout out to her. She just got the position as the on-campus director of recruiting for Utah football. And
Director of recruiting?
Hey.
yeah,
Hey.
Jolie.
as a young
Utah?
poly woman.
See,
Yo,
as a
let's get
young
a-
poly woman in football.
Can we
not
get a
basketball,
football?
Can we get a
football.
cheer?
Oh,
Yeah, it's
Rounds
fire,
right
dog.
there.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then just with, like I said, with you guys helping me out, getting our story out there, and her game is really, just to end off on this, her game is not about me. It's not about, maybe it kind of relates to different experiences that I faced or my sisters faced, but it's for every girl to understand that they have, like you mentioned, they had a place, and it's, it's for the underdog. It's for women in sports where they still are the underdogs with this gender gap. That's another conversation for another day. For different women in their respected industries where maybe they're the only woman on their team. I know, shout out to Steph, the tour manager for Comic Kings. I had a conversation with her, and I could, even though, I feel like music and sports go hand in hand in different ways. They do intertwine, but like, just conversations that I've had with her is just knowing that there's different women out there that are still like, they're still the underdog, but they're still like getting through and still fighting through. And that's one thing that I want people to take. If they don't listen to anything else, just know that her game is always for the underdog.
And that's why we're proud of you, because you've taken what you've everybody else helped you create, and none of it was about you. Everything was about everybody else. And that's why we're proud of you. If we can say anything, that's why we're proud of you. Because it's never been about you. And if people listen to this interview, that's what they'll take away, that you were genuine about helping everybody else.
From the
You know
jump.
what I mean? It's never about you. So that's why we're proud of you, Jess.
And you guys are helping me get out of my own comfort zone. Like I mentioned, I like being behind the scenes. I rarely do interviews because I don't like a lot of attention, obviously, sometimes. But in order to just get everything out there, I do have to speak up more. I still have to put myself in uncomfortable positions, but it's still going to help out. It's still going to be beneficial later down the line. I know some way, I just don't know how, but I know it will. And then maybe it can encourage a younger girl to start her own thing or figure out how she could be in a different position. But yeah, thank you guys for helping me step outside of my comfort zone and having this conversation, because I'm just like, oh, cool. Yeah, gotta go. Gotta work.
I hope it was comfortable.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you. Nice.
Last thing, if people want to get a hold of you or see the page or donate or collab, how can they reach you?
Well, yeah, they could follow us on all our social media platforms. We're found on Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram at This Is Her Game. We're looking to launch our new website August 19th, where we'll have a couple of shirts and a hat as well. I only just one shirt right now because, like I mentioned, we're in the middle of rebrand. We started from scratch how to build the website. Like I'm still learning. Maybe later down the line we'll have interns to help out. But yeah, once we have the website going, they could purchase their very own shirt and help spread brand awareness. And yeah, follow us on all our social media platforms. And man, our Cash App is This Is Her Game too. If you want to go donate,
$, This Is Her Game.
$sign at This Is Her Game.
There you go. Yeah, put it out there.
Well, I'm Venmo too, and then different collabs. We still have to figure out how we could collab. We're very still trying to figure out ways to figure out if we could partner in this, and if the time matches for both of us, we'll figure something out. But for myself personally, I definitely want to be more involved within my own community as well. Maybe we could talk about this off air, just organizing different opportunities for our young Pacific Islander kids or young adults.
I think that's what I'm looking forward to seeing the VASA Her Game collab shirt.
Go.
Yeah, bro. Let me know how we can do it, man.
Hey, let me start drawing up some mock-ups.
Ooh. Yeah.
You see
all
this,
the
bro?
shirts.
Oh, hey, E-Ride. They're from Viconia too.
Yeah.
Oh, hold up, bro.
Oh, you got it.
Oh, see, sure. There you go.
Check this, bro.
That turtle in the shirt. Oh,
I'm gonna need that in black. Ooh, nice.
Send it.
You know,
we're gonna exchange information here off air. Thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you for coming to the show, Des.
Yes, thank you, Des. Thank you, Forrest. For E-Ride Hosea, Lance Falatomo. This is VASA Sports.
Wait, can I give a shout out? One quick shout out.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to give a quick shout out to my guy or my family out in Carson. I'm actually supporting Polynesian-owned brand, Black Boys Clothing. You can follow me on Instagram. Get your very own hat. You already know we have to support our people. So yeah, shout out to y'all.
What's it called?
Black Boys Clothing.
Black Boys Clothing.
Nope.
Nice. I'm gonna add that to before the closing.
Yeah.
Nice, Des. Thank you so much for sitting with us and giving us the game and just talking to strangers and Forrest.
Yeah.
Shout out to the X family.
Today's show, as always, sponsored by VASAislandapparel.com for gear that represents the South Pacific Island languages and cultures accurately and responsibly. Put on for the culture. Catch the wave at VASAislandapparel.com.